Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from everyone. If you just join us on this channel, I would like you guys to subscribe, to like the video, so that you don't have to miss our next video that we're going to be broadcasting. Today, my brother and sister, I'll be talking a little bit of politics in South Africa. A politic in South Africa, first of all, Juju is being sentenced to 5 years in prison. My input a little bit about that on the politics side. As someone that I live in South Africa for many years, I have seen the South African politics move from Mandela to Thabo Mbeki to Zuma, so forth. I've been there. I would say I live my youth life in South Africa, so that a little bit I feel myself mostly South African, because that is where I study and I work and I live for many years, and also have a wonderful family in South Africa with a South African, so that I have a South African children. Guys, today I'm talking in politics because I've been observing so many things happening, and what I'm going to be talking today is my view, is my opinion. Please, I don't want that people must take it like it's personal and so forth. I have to give my own opinion or things that are happening. It may help maybe the people to think otherwise, because what I'm talking here is my observation of things that are happening. And my first point that I'll be coming in on this politic issue is that our government already, I'm seeing the government declining as the time goes. The government is going down. Our government ANC that we love are going down. I think EFF, the president, Mr. Julius Malema, have played a role at the beginning that was so good. But in the long run, I think that he has distracted a little bit South African politics. This is my own view here. And my view can also make that people must think otherwise than the thing that everybody, than the direction that everybody look at. When I recall very well, when Mandela left the power, the President Thabo Mbeki took over. When he took over, things were still going well until we realized, South Africans realized that the idea that President Thabo Mbeki was bringing to South Africa, according to my own view, it was the right thing. If we did adopt that policy that President Thabo Mbeki brought, I think that the country will be going to be much, much better than what it is today. Because the idea that President Thabo Mbeki was planning to bring to South Africa was the African Unite, that many South Africans didn't really understand the fact of African Unite. African Unite, according to President Thabo Mbeki, was not to bring the foreigners to come and to be full in South Africa. It was a plan that the President Thabo Mbeki has to expand South Africa to other countries, like, for example, a multinational to other countries. That means to build a strong partnership between South Africa and other African countries. That was going to bring a lot of resources, like what we're seeing today. If you go to Nigeria and to other countries in Africa, you're going to find out that you have a ShopRite, you have MTN. There are so many South African companies that are well represented. But the idea that Thabo Mbeki has was a little bit more than that. I would say people didn't understand because South Africa was still young in politics. That is where now my second point come in. Mr. Julius Malema. That is where he popped in. EFF was hot in that period between the transition between the President Thabo Mbeki and the President Jacob Zuma. He played a very critical role to overthrow Thabo Mbeki in the benefit of Jacob Zuma, who took power after him. I'm just bringing up here because if we don't know history, we won't know exactly where we are going. That is why I start by planting the history part of the story. That is where the story of xenophobia come in. If we recall very well, before Thabo Mbeki was left the government, the EFF was very strong on chasing foreigners away in the benefit of President Jacob Zuma, because they was putting in their line that the President Thabo Mbeki was selling the country to foreigners. That is how Thabo Mbeki left the power in the benefit of Jacob Zuma. I would say that EFF present play a very, very big role to overthrow Thabo Mbeki government in the benefit of Jacob Zuma. And now, when we still, according to my view, what I'm saying here is my view here. According to my view, we're still suffering from Jacob Zuma presidency. I'm not pointing fingers, but I know the corruption was on high note. That is where we start experiencing load shedding, electricity increasing. Most of those low-cost housing start to be a little bit tricky. The thing was a little bit slow. And then come with the Gupta story. And I think that is where the South Africa fell apart, with the Gupta story. By reading a lot of things that was happening by then, there was no single business in South Africa that was or a big tender or so forth that Gupta was not involved. I'm talking here, just in bracket here, myself, I have an electrical company where I normally get tenders also in government in South Africa, but I was having a job as a subcontractor from other companies. I'm going to make another video talking also about that, talking about corruption and what the subcontractors are struggling, how the subcontractors in South Africa are struggling to get their money paid. Yeah, a lot of subcontractors are struggling from that. And I would say that most of those things started on those periods. That is when the South Africa start to decline very, very deeply. Until today, we didn't completely recover from it because the Gupta Gate was a lot. I'm not sure that you'll be able to know the exact amount that those people left the country with, from ESCOM, from coal mine, from so many things that I'm well informed. I'm focused on those politics in South Africa, so that there was a lot of money that the country lost, and we're still recovering from it. I was just brushing the history before I come to the main topic. Now, what I'm realizing in South Africa is that from that time, most of the political parties took now the story of foreigner to get the people to follow them. Because any political party who talk about foreigners, who talk about undocumented foreigner, we don't know who is documented, who is not documented. The government, if you go to my previous video, you will realize that my point here for South African government, the easy way was to document the foreigner. Give the document to foreigner. I think that the foreigners, most of it, those ones that I spoke with, they are even ready to pay for their permit. And it's a lot of money. If what if maybe the Home Affairs say that if you want to obtain a work permit, maybe for 2 years, you have to pay this certain amount to have that permit. It's going to bring a lot of money to the coffers. And also, the person that have a permit is going to be documented. And when you are documented, you'll be able also to be traced if there's anything go wrong with him, if maybe he's committed crime or so forth. Next time when he's coming to renew his permit, the government can maybe decide that we are not going to renew your permit because you have committed crime. You'll be able to trace, because in South Africa, I would say that there are so many foreigners that are able to commit crime in South Africa and leave the country without being traced. And I'm sure that if we go to the fingerprint bank in the police, we are going to see, they are going to realize that there are so many fingerprints on people that we don't know where they are. We don't trace them in any database. And when it's like that, how are we going to fight crime if we are not be able to know who has committed this crime or that crime? If we documented people, it's going to help us to trace who has committed crime and who has done this or that, for us to be able to build a safe country. As I was saying before I come up with this little bit bracket, foreigners now in South Africa are the object of political campaign. Everyone wants to have voters. He must talk about foreigner. If a political party talk about foreigner in South Africa today, there will be so many people that they're going to vote on that political party. And I think that this thing is diverting I'm saying this to a South African born. This thing is diverting you guys from the real issue that are at stake. That is a job creation. That is how to better the life of our people, how to build a better future for tomorrow. Is diverting us from that, because the politicians now are taking foreigners as distraction. Because if you see any political party who stand up and say foreigner must go, and so forth, you're going to see many people are going to start voting for that party and following that party. And on this note here, I just want to plead to the ANC that is in government today. Please, guys, look on this story of foreigners. Look on the story of foreigners. Because this thing that we're talking about today, we are trying to divert voters from left and right and make them not to focus on the real issue that is at stake. Because if you go to political campaign today, you don't hear nothing else than the story of foreigner living in South Africa. Let's see the way to document our foreigner, to trace the bad one, to chase those one who has committed crime, and stay with those people that they are building our country for the better tomorrow. Me, I'm talking here really with my hand on my heart. South Africans, sometimes they are going to say you are a foreigner and so forth. I don't feel like a foreigner in South Africa. I don't feel like a foreigner in South Africa. I was not born in South Africa, but have been raised in South Africa. I feel myself a South African than my country of birth. I know the story of South Africa than my country of birth. And South Africa has given me everything. I'm trying today to give back to South Africa what South Africa has given me. To try to give my input to help those foreigner or those South African citizens to realize where our focus must be. our focus must be to push our government to do the right thing so that job must be created. People must have money in their pocket. Foreigner that you see here, my dear South African, even if all of them are out of South Africa, you won't get extra cash in your pocket if you don't work for it. You cannot, the money that the foreigner are getting by selling the street, by hustling and so forth, that money will not come in your pocket. But the bad one, I would like our police really to deal on that issue. The issue of drugs, the issue of crime. Because drugs are destroying the children. I have a very, very soft heart concerning children. Those youth in high school that already are inside those drugs and so forth, I'm begging to the government to put more attention on that. Except that after, when you guys are gone, the South Africa is going to become a very dangerous place to be. All this thing here I'm talking is my own view and advice that I'm addressing to the government and to the South African. Foreigners are not your enemy. But realizing that those bad ones, I'm also pleading to those ones who are trying to irritate South African. When you are to somebody's house, you obey his rules. You follow his footstep. You do what is going to be right for him, that is going to like. You do like you are baking the place to stay. Because you cannot come to somebody's house and want to oblige that person to do as you want him to do. As that can, even if we become a South African, I give respect to those South Africans that they are born. Because meanwhile, you experience only South Africa. And you have a right to get what you deserve. But don't think that what you deserve, you didn't get it because foreigner took it. I will say that no. Foreigner didn't take anything. Foreigner didn't take anything. Even if all the foreigners move to South Africa, it's not that who is going to stop the load shedding, increase the electricity bill, and increase the cost of living. It's not foreigner who make the life become more expensive. No. We are trying to change. Me, I'm accusing those people, those politicians that want to have voters, that they are focusing now in foreigner. When somebody make a rally, when he call foreigner, the crowd is going to be full. People are going to be cheering. Oh, foreigner must go. Oh, foreigner must do this. And all those groups, from Duduzela, from all the groups that are fighting against foreigners, please guys, try to understand. Understanding here is not for you to accept that people that deal drugs, killing your children, must be accepted. But also we must know how to work with the police to address that issue to the police. I know that some of you is going to talk about how the police is, how the management and so forth. In any group, everybody is not bad. So I cannot say all the police are bad in South Africa. No. I knew a very good police officers. Very respectable police officer. And I greet you guys. And I say keep your good work going to make the South Africa safe. Dear brother and sister, let not divert our what we're supposed to be asking the government to do by focusing in foreigner. And this message now also go to foreigners. Guys, when I came to South Africa a long time ago, we was having a lot. I had a lot of South African friends. When I moved to Port Elizabeth, that is where I spend most of my time. We was going to the location every Friday, Saturday to enjoy ourselves. And I even live in Kwadwesi. I stayed there when that new location was just built. We was all friendly. There was no issue of foreigners. We was humble to each other, respectful to each other. We was working. We was not there to show South Africans that we have more than them or our life is much better than their own. No. We must learn to be humble. We must learn to know that if somebody in front of us don't have something to eat, we must not take our food and go and eat in front of them. That is a disrespect. And even myself, I won't like it. I'm talking most of the time about our brother foreigners that will show themselves up in front of those ones that don't have. If you're humble, you live your life quietly and nicely. If you go to a country, you see people walking with one foot. Even if you have two legs, jack one up and walk like them. That is how to be humble. You don't walk with 2 foot by showing that you guys, you just jumping in one leg. Me, I can show you guys I'm much better. I can walk with 2 foot. When you do like that, the people for that place won't like you because they'll say that you're trying to show them that you're better than them. If myself, you bring that kind of attitude, even if I'm a born South African, I won't like it. It's our attitude who shape the way that people around us are going to be able to live with us. Guys, let's change our attitude. It's not mean that if we want to buy a BM, you want to buy any kind of things, you can't do it. But if you do it, be humble with it. Be humble is not mean that you're going to wear a clothes that are scattered and so forth. No. Be humble is that you cannot sit and go in front of people that they don't have nothing and start maybe playing loud music and making a party anyhow in front of people that they don't have nothing to eat. They'll ask themselves, we are struggling here to put food on the table. Where these guys get money from? And it's frustrating. And I think that is what most of the South Africans feel before you see them sometimes behave the way that they did on the xenophobia. I'm not giving this as an excuse of xenophobia because all over the world, there's no country that will develop isolated by themselves. You need foreigner to help you to develop your country, because the technology, the teacher, those one in university, lecturers and so forth, we need foreigners, the people that they have those expertise like doctors and so forth to treat our people, to give a better health to our citizens. Guys, the cause of my video here was mostly to say, let's think about these political parties that are using foreigner to beat their campaign, and let's focus on the right issue on the table. How to reduce electricity bill, how to put food on our table. That is where most of our focus as a South African, we must ask our politicians to be accountable for. Foreigners is a distraction. They are trying, it's like they are showing somebody a moon, than to look at the moon, he's looking at the finger. We must be careful, we must pay more attention to what our politicians are going to be telling us when they are beating campaign. Foreigner is not the story of a campaign. Foreigner is a distraction. The story of a foreigner is a pure distraction. And to my brother foreigner, when you live to somebody's house, you respect his rules. If you see that you are not going to respect the person's rules, like a good South African say, you fuck off. On this note, I'll say, guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe, and we have more video to come. I think my next topic will be mostly based on family issue. Guys, take care of yourself. May God bless. I love you all. Cheers.